The Kansas City Chiefs depth chart looks a lot different than it did just 2 months ago for the Super Bowl. And so today on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports, we're going to take a look at the people who have left, the people who have come in, and the people who have stayed put on the depth chart all throughout this offseason. We appreciate you hanging out with us. I'm your host, Jay Sanders. And without further ado, let's get into our first depth chart, and that, of course, is the quarterbacks. I believe that quarterback name is Patrick Mahomes. I'm just kidding. It's Patrick Mahomes. Very obviously, the baby goat there at QB1, not going to be changing. Oladokun at QB2, and then Ian Book, the former Notre Dame Fighting Irish QB. He was signed to a futures deal right before the Super Bowl. He is QB3. Now, the guy you don't see on this list anymore, Blaine Gabbert. And if you ask me, I hope we do not see him on this list for the rest of the offseason. Now, I know what you're going to think. Well, I don't trust Oladokun to be backup. And while I do agree with you, I'm done with the whole veteran backup process. I'd like somebody who has different skills and different abilities. Because, I got to be quite honest with you. If Mahomes gets hurt, we're kind of chucking in the season in a lot of facets anyway, at least the way that we're handling all this. So, may as well have somebody fun. I wanted a Drew Lock. I wanted a Jameis Winston. None of those guys are available anymore. So, I don't know what they're going to do. But hopefully, it doesn't matter, and Mahomes just is healthy throughout the entire season. And the only time we see a different quarterback is when we're up by 50. Which is why I asked the question. If Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT quarterback, then like the video, because I certainly do think he is, but I don't know if you think so. The only way I can know is if you're liking the video. And last I checked, Mahomes is a 3-time Super Bowl champion, so we need at least 300 likes to show that. And he's on the way to 7 because that's what he wants to do to catch Brady, so I'd say we got to get to 700 as well. So just go down there, hit that like button if you think Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT quarterback. Let's continue on here with the running backs of the Kansas City Chiefs, and a lot different. Isiah Pacheco, your true RB1 that we saw last year. But besides that, RB2 and RB3 are a lot different. Michael P. Ryan, who stays on the roster, and then Deneric Prince with Keontae Ingram, and then Hassan Hall, the backup running backs. Now, you're probably wondering, Jace, what is this? Well, they lost a couple of guys in free agency, and I'm not going to say lost, I guess, just yet, because they are still current free agents. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon. And while I do think the Chiefs could potentially sign them back, right now, the way I look at this, they have one viable option on their offensive running back room. They need to add someone. I don't know who that is. I personally would still like to see a J.K. Dobbins signing. I know that he was officially cleared for any and all football activity yesterday. I think he's a good option. I know that the injury history is there, but at the same time, if you're going to go into this year and just trust in Isiah Pacheco, may as well go get somebody like J.K. Dobbins. He's got really good history and was an absolute menace as a Buckeye at Ohio State. So that's just my opinion. Or just go get Jerick McKinnon or Clyde Edwards-Helaire back. Just get one of them at this point. I don't need both of them. I need one, though, because this running back room scares me if Pacheco gets hurt. The wide receiver depth chart. Man, oh man, was this a point of contingency in all of 2023. And Brett Veach certainly took note of it. Rashee Rice, officially the wide receiver 1. Marquise Brown at wide receiver 2. And then past there, question marks all over the board. You got Kadarius Toney. You got Skyy Moore, Justin Watson, Justin Ross. You got Washington, Powell, Copeland, Remigio, Miller, Smith. There are a lot of different wide receiver options, and while I do feel as though there's going to be guys who make it on the practice squad and not on the opening day roster or whatever, that's a lot of receivers to carry at this current moment. And yet they still did lose some guys, because you talk about the cut of Marquise Valdez-Scantling. He didn't make the team, obviously, and saved them around $12 million. Richie James looking like he may not be re-signed, and McCole Hardman, who is still currently a free agent. McCole is one of those you'll see re-sign in June. The Chiefs did not re-sign him last year. The Jets took him, and then obviously they traded for him. Will they make the same mistake? Will they try and run it back and have him go somewhere and then trade for him again? I don't know, but guess what? We will just have to wait and see. I still expect them to draft a wide receiver in round 1 of the NFL draft. If not round 1, round 2, or round 3. Just the question marks past Marquise Brown are still there. I know that Kadarius Toney has the positives to be an elite, not elite, but a respectable receiver in this league. I know that Skyy Moore has some valuable assets that could be considered to be respectable in this league. But I don't want to take risks when you're going for a three-peat and you have a pretty good option to draft a wide receiver in what is a really, really solid wide receiver draft class. I still think we see one. I don't know who it is. I'm thinking it's going to be in the first round with either Ladd McConkey or A.D. Mitchell. But past that, I could see a Brendan Rice, a Devontae Walker, a Troy Franklin maybe in the mid-second round if they tried to go for him. A lot of different ways they could go about this. But let's say right now, forget the potential draft of a wide receiver. You look at this wide receiver room right now. You know the question marks of Toney and Moore and Watson and Ross. I want you to grade this wide receiver depth chart with the top two obviously being Rashee Rice and Marquise Brown. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know down in the comments section. What do you think this is deserving of in terms of grades for the wide receiver depth chart? Let's go to the tight ends with Travis Kelce at tight end 1, having a nice vacation with his girlfriend Taylor Swift at this current time. Noah Gray at tight end 2, and then Irv Smith Jr., one of the first signings for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was actually the first out-of-market signing. Now, you got Garrett Prince and Isiah Gatherings all in there as well. Gathings. The one loss was Blake Bell. He was officially a free agent. Given that he was on this roster for 4 years, the Chiefs are going to go one of two ways. They're going to draft a latter round tight end, or they're going to bring him back. I would probably go the first option and say that they draft a tight end like a Ben Sinnott. I know that they talked to a couple different guys over in that area during the NFL Combine. Honestly, don't know what happens, but I know they like to have 4 tight ends on roster. Prince and Gathings, they're not exactly going to be what I would call starters in the realm of this Chiefs offense. You know what I am starting, though? I'm starting on Game Time because you can get pretty much any ticket to any event you would like right here. By using code CHATSPORTS, you're going to get $20 off as well. And, you shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Their app is super user-friendly, and on there they have last-minute ticket deals, they've got zone deals, they've got flash deals, and honestly, if I'm going for last-minute tickets, which I'm not a great planner, so if I'm going to somewhere, it's about a day before, and I want to see if they got tickets, Game Time, guess what? They're the best place to get it. I can get my tickets in literally less than 2 taps. How freaking cool is that? And their app, again, super user-friendly with baseball coming up. The opening day for Kauffman Stadium and the Royals is tomorrow against the Minnesota Twins. You haven't got your tickets yet? Guess what? You can go check them out now and use the code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Game Time is the place to go for all your ticketing needs. They are obsessed with finding ways to help you save on money. And the Game Time guarantee means you will always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and redeem code at CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, no spaces, for $20 off. Game Time, last-minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed. Let's go to the offensive line here. Wanya Morris, the starting left tackle, is the big name to watch because in terms of left guard, center, right guard, right tackle, it's the same as we've had for the past year now. Toney, Humphrey, Smith, and Taylor. Lucas Niang, Mike Caliendo, and Godric behind Wanya Morris. The key loss here, obviously, being Donovan Smith. Now, he is a free agent currently. There is still a possibility for them to re-sign Mr. Smith. Do I see that happening? I don't really know. I think there were other problems in the contract that he wanted did not fit what the Chiefs were willing to pay him in this second year that they would have him. So we'll have to see. Right now, Wanya Morris, though, is that starting left tackle. And last year, the Chiefs' offensive line was one of the best in the entire NFL as they allowed the second least amount of sacks in the entire National Football League. Dolphins and Lions were tied at 31. Packers had 30, and then the Chiefs, 28, just 4 more than the Buffalo Bills, who allowed the least amount of sacks in 2024, probably because Josh Allen threw the ball away into a defender's hand when he was about to get sacked. But that's just my opinion. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Charles Omenihu is the starting defensive end. He is injured, and it will be a question mark as to when he will return for the Chiefs. Chris Jones, Derek Nottie making the re-signing. He actually got paid a little bit. Contract value came up recently. It's a lot more than I expected. George Karlaftis at defensive end, and then Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Mike Pennell, Tershawn Morton, Malik Herring. The backups there that I really like. There is the potential that Mike Dana could come back to this roster and play in, again, relief of Charles Omenihu for the first half of the season until Omenihu can come back. Obviously, he has hinted that he'll be back sooner than you would probably expect with ACL injuries, but at the same time, we don't exactly know what the timetable is for it. Some are speculating he'll come back right in time for playoffs. He's saying that he'll be back before Game 13. We really don't know at this point, and so the Chiefs are kind of having to wrestle with the option of re-signing Dana or trusting Felix Anudike-Uzomah with what they have at the defensive end position. Last year, though, this defensive line was great, and it was obviously a lot toward Chris Jones and what he did, recording 10.5 sacks along with George Karlaftis, who also added 10.5 sacks. But as a team, 57 sacks, 3 less than the Baltimore Ravens, who had the most sacks. And here's my thing. When your offensive line is second in the league for least amount of sacks allowed, and your defensive line is second for most sacks allowed, you're winning the trench battle 90% of the time, if not more. So the Chiefs are doing something right, and on the defensive and offensive line, they kept a majority of those players, so I'm really excited to see them flourish again in 2024. Let's go to the linebacker room where one guy was lost, but one guy who was a fan favorite stayed home. Drue Tranquill, and I'll quote him, "This is way better than L.A." Man, I'm glad that he's back. He had such a memorable season in a lot of different facets. As Nick Bolton went down injured, he filled in for him. Willie Gay Jr. went down injured, he filled in for him. Leo Chenal obviously had a great Super Bowl game. This linebacker room is good. The loss, obviously, I mentioned his name, Willie Gay Jr. He did go to the New Orleans Saints, which, by the way, I haven't got to say it in a while, and I'm going to pat myself on the back. I predicted he would go to the Saints back in, what was that, like, I think in August or September. It was just, I'm going to say, we're pretty solid here on our research here at Chat Sports. All I'm going to say, so hit that subscribe button. Linebacker room here is going to be just as good as last year. I think I am pretty confident in that. I know that Willie Gay Jr. was a very, very good guy in terms of his main thing that I think he had more than Drue Tranquill was his ability to spy the quarterback. But I think Nick Bolton will just become that spy, and Drue Tranquill will go into that Nick Bolton slot of middle linebacker potentially. There's a lot of ways they can move around their linebacking slot. Given Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, really switches up his defenses almost every series, you're going to see a lot of different formations and packages with all three of those guys. So Chenal, Bolton, and Tranquill, I think they're all going to be really, really good. With Tranquill coming back in a 3-year deal for $19 million, $13 million of it guaranteed. What's your confidence level in him this year as a starter? Obviously, last year was signed on to be a kind of double play option with Mr. Leo Chenal. Now he's officially a starter with Chenal. What's your confidence level? Scale it 1 through 10. 1 being least confident, 10 being the most confident. What are you thinking about DT in his second year? Let's go to the cornerback room where obviously there is some changes. Trent McDuffie going from CB2 to CB1. I still think they'll play him in the slot corner role, which is where he played last year. Joshua Williams will play a majority of the outside position. It honestly is going to differ with each team and what wide receiver they are going to be facing. Jalen Watson also as a very viable option to kind of tag team with Joshua Williams. And then Isiah Johnson. I know people have a lot of positive things to say about him. Been injured for the past year. Now we see him come back. Nick Jones, I think, could also play a really good role. I think this is still a great cornerback room without L'Jarius Sneed. Do I think it's the best one in the NFL? I'm not going to say that. I think it's probably top 10 without him. With him, it was by far the best one, but it's still. Trent McDuffie and Joshua Williams had higher PFF rankings than L'Jarius Sneed. And although Sneed had an incredible year, and I'm not discounting anything he did last year, I do think we, as a Chiefs fan, as a Chiefs kingdom, have to step back and realize it's going to be okay, and this was just the way it needed to go. We couldn't pay L'Jarius Sneed. In my mind, I'm happy LJ got his payday because, man, he is deserving of it, and I am very happy that he is going to be good for the next 4 years, and hopefully he does some great things in Nashville with the Titans. Let's go to the safeties, as this is one of the strong positions for the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion. Justin Reed and Brian Cook are really the top two guys. Cook should be back after his injury. We'll have to wait and see how exactly that all panned out because it ended up being a season-ending injury for him. And then Shamari Connor, the rookie out of Virginia Tech, a 6th-round pick last year, he was great. Deion Bush and Trey Dean, the backup free safeties, you could see them kind of being switched around to strong safety as well at sometimes. Mike Edwards was the lone loss in the safety room as he signed with the Buffalo Bills. This was expected, though, as when he got out of the Super Bowl, the phones, the Twitters, the social media all started to come into play with the contract stuff, and he had tweeted something about, under the lines of, I hate being undervalued. I've been underrated my entire life. I'm assuming that has to mean that the Chiefs offered him something. It wasn't what he wanted. He left for Buffalo. I appreciate what he did in his 1 year with the Chiefs. I'm sure he's going to do some great things, but overall, he was not a priority just because the safety room is solid with or without him, especially with Brian Cook returning in 2024. Hopefully, very, very healthy in his third year in the NFL. Let's go to special teams because, well, this is an interesting one. Harrison Butker at kicker. Matt Isiah at punter, replacing Tommy Townsend. James Winchester, the long snapper, agreeing to a 1-year deal to come back to the Chiefs for the 10th season. Then Eric Prince, the kick returner, and Kadarius Toney, the punt returner. Obviously, the loss here is Tommy Townsend, a very spectacular punter who went to Houston. Wish him all the best. But honestly, I'm very interested in Matt Isiah and the way he is performing throughout this process because he was labeled as the punt god before all of the accusations went down and he was cut from the Buffalo Bills. Is he going to have that same type of mantra to him when he comes back on the field? Or are we going to see a different type of guy? Obviously, there had to be a reason they signed him, but I'm going to be watching him closely in a lot of different ways. And listen, I know people devalue special teams, and I think with the new kickoff rule that maybe it's going to be valued even more or devalued even more. I don't really know. But I do know this. It's very important, and the fact that the Chiefs have continuously put out solid guys at both the kicker, the punter, the long snapper, and Winchester, and then overall their punt and kick returners have been solid for the past couple years. It's very important, and I do think it's a very viable option because, as they say, special teams, special plays, special players. We appreciate y'all watching. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed our show. And hey, man, it's becoming closer and closer to the NFL draft, so hit that subscribe button because we got the latest news on everything heading into the draft coverage. For now, Chiefs Kingdom, though, peace out.